Hey, what up, everybody? Stevie Breach coming to you. Wanted to crank out my video about what happened last night at BTW Wrestlefest 2013. Honestly, I had a real fun time. It was really, really good. And just wanted to really show off everything I got at the show. Say how much fun it was. Hopefully, I can talk some people into going next time. Show off all the merch that I bought. I knew going in that I was going to end up buying some stuff. I tried to save my money the best that I could, though. But, when they put those merch tables in front of you, you walk out of there, and there's always something that you end up walking out with that you sort of like, why did I buy that? But first thing you go into is when you walk in, they have the house table, which is set up by the company, BT Wrestling. So they have the main merch table that they first come into. They had a whole bunch of masks, 8x10s. They had signed Ric Flair figures that were for sale, classic Superstars ones. They had all the 8x10s for all the wrestlers that were going to be there in case you needed something to get signed when you were there. Plus, they were selling tickets to meet the guys if you needed extra tickets to get extra things signed and things like that. I don't even know why I bought this, honestly, but I think I was caught up in the moment. This is the one item that I bought. It was a Jack Swagger signed 8x10. It was $10. They had a lot of other wrestlers there. The one that was the most popular one was The Rock. It was selling for $40. They had Ric Flair ones that were for $20. It was a picture of Hogan hitting Flair, signed by him. Looked really, really cool. They had Jake the Snake was selling pretty well as well. You didn't see anybody buy any Shawn Michaels ones, but they had some Shawn Michaels ones. They were selling a lot of signed 8x10s. At the same table, they had a whole bunch of magazines that were for sale. I flipped through them all. I asked them how much they were, and I thought they said they were $10. So I just took my time looking through them and said, it is what it is. And then I came across this magazine right here, and right there it says it all. Wow. Trish Stratus. This magazine is from April of 2001, and if I can say myself, I used to have this magazine when I was a kid back in the day, and if you can find it wherever it is in my collection, I don't know where it is anymore, if I even have it anymore, if it's in some dumpster somewhere. But my Trish Stratus magazine is probably pregnant somewhere, if you know what I'm saying. I spent a lot of time with this magazine, if I can say that on YouTube friendly. But here's the pictures of like Trish Stratus on the inside. So when I went to pay, I thought it was going to be $20. It ended up being $12. So I just told her to keep it, and I was going to grab 4 more magazines to complete it. I finished up with the Matt Hardy one. I found a perfect condition Ultimate Warrior one. The Jericho debut one. And then I got this one that's all about Triple H the game, because what else would I have? I used to have this when it first came out. I remember buying it at the store. My girlfriend was sick, and I went to go buy her some medicine, and I saw that on the magazine rack, and I picked it up, and she looked at me really weird when I came home from there. From there, we just sort of like moved on around the convention, moved over to another table. From there, I met the coolest guy that was there. He was selling some more magazines and some more figures. He was actually the photographer for the show. He took all the pictures of the wrestlers during the matches and everything. He's actually the one guy from that take pictures of PWG as well. I told him that how much of a dream it is of mine to go down there. But he was honestly the coolest guy that was there. He seemed like he was sort of getting out of his wrestling collection. He was selling off a lot of his figures and stuff like that. In his magazines, and he just sort of like, he wasn't giving them away. He was giving some figures away to kids and stuff like that. But he was making it widely known that he was getting out. But I picked up this Ted DiBiase magazine for $1 out of the dollar bin. Little did I know until after I had moved on from the bin, it is signed by Ted DiBiase. It says John 3:16 there in the thing. I picked up this Bloody Vader magazine in case I go meet him next month. I picked up this Sunny magazine. This is the first episode of the Raw magazine that came out. And this was basically porn when I was a kid. when they put this up on TV, it was like, I must have that. And I honestly have never seen this, but this was the more adult style magazine. So we'll have to see what's going on with that. This is Trish Stratus. This is the first edition of the WB magazine when it got revamped. She was on the cover. Pretty much see-through nips right there. This is pretty adult entertainment here for you, but we got The Ultimate Warrior Returns. This is only in America. The big hype to WrestleMania with Mike Tyson on the cover with Austin and Michaels. I thought that looked real cool for $1. And then the WrestleMania 13 issue. I'm not sure if this is like the results or if this is the... this is the hype up. It just has the matches. Ahmed Johnson versus Farouk. Hunter Hearst Helmsley versus Goldust. Oh, look, there's freaking. And then I got some luchadors in there. So, this is the Royal Rumble results. I'm not even looking at the right thing. We'll have to look at it another day. One of the coolest things to look through those, though, when you get the old magazines, is see the price of the tapes. The tapes are $40 a piece, and they seem like they make it seem like it's the best deal in the world. And then also the best thing is, that one doesn't have it. But if you go through and you find with the Shop Zone catalog, the older, the better for that stuff. From there, meeting the wrestlers. All the wrestlers were really cool. I met Colt Cabana. As always, he's one of the coolest guys you can meet. I met Rob Van Dam. And when Van Dam met him, he signed my figure. Right here, it came out real nice, sight in silver. It says Rob Van Dam, 5-star. It's going to look real cool. Put up somewhere. He had his belt, and I told him that it looked too beat up to look like a replica, and he told me that it was actually the real title, and it was given to him by Bam Bam Bigelow, and it was given to him before his death. Bam Bam just really didn't want to have it. For some reason, Rob had lost the title that he actually had, so Bam Bam gave him the one that was his title, I guess you can say, but it is the one title that Rob Van Dam had for his run in ECW. Never was the world champ until WWE relaunched ECW back in the day. From there, I went down the line and I got to do the meet and greet with the actual real talent that the BTW people brought in. Met Katie Lee Burchell. She was really nice. It was the second time I met her. D.H. Smith was a real cool guy. I honestly just really didn't know what to say to him. Had a lot more respect for him after his match that night at the show. I don't know. I mean, like, you want to say something like, it seems like with that kind of match and that kind of power, how big he is, that he would fit in with WWE, but really if they bring him back, what are they going to do with him? Chris Masters was a real cool dude. He put me in the master lock for my picture. All my pictures are up on TwitPic, by the way. Carlito and Chris Masters both worked the main event, and they were real cool guys to talk to. When I was going through the line and meeting him for the autographs, the pictures was sort of like pushed through. They didn't really let you sit say much because they were trying to get everybody to go by, get outside, and then they could get back in to do the thing. That was the one stupid thing, is that once you went through and got your pictures, they pushed you all outside into this little sort of space, and then they called you in groups of 25 to go down the autograph line. It was pretty stupid. But when I was going down the autograph line, the first guy I talked to was Chris Masters. And I told him that how funny it was that, the whole wrestling world got turned upside down with the rumors that, the guys that were at the table, it was, Carlito, Chris Masters, and Shelton Benjamin were the rumored names that were going to be the surprise guests at the Royal Rumble. And Masters was telling me, like, how many people were actually texting him and calling him that were inside the company. JR even sent him a tweet saying how cool it was that he was coming. And then, like, word spread down the line. Carlito, joined in on the conversation with me, saying that, his brother was even, like, sending him messages, like, where he was staying so they could stay together. After the show, that he would have to get his own room. He could just, come stay with him and Hunico. And everybody really fell for it. Shelton was about to say something until he looked up and he saw it was me, and then he just went back to what he was doing. He didn't want any part of me. I put up my own video with my Shelton Benjamin experience that's up there, and every once in a while you make a video and after you're done and it's uploaded, you're like, oh fuck, I meant to say some stuff. But my buddy that I met at the show, he got a good plug in my video, Mr. Paul. His whole name is Mr. Paul JB44. But, Paul, I had just met that day. I honestly just subscribed to him. I found his videos by looking up who was going to be at WrestleFest and things like that. And, we met at the show pretty fast. He was pretty easy to spot. He was right in front of us in line waiting to get into the show. And, he was a real awesome guy to hang out with all day. Just talk wrestling, talk about our collections and what he liked, what I liked. He listened to me ramble on about Impact and how stupid it was and how my head wanted to explode because of the whole Abyss thing. And we went over all the angles in WWE. Just basically, when you're at these shows, you can just ramble on because a lot of times there's a lot of dead time. And if you just stand there and don't say anything, it's going to get really boring. But if, everybody's there, you can talk about some sort of wrestling and the time flies by pretty fast. Anybody who's ever been to an Access or an autograph signing or anything like that will understand, that time ticks by a whole lot faster when you're not really paying attention, just sort of looking at your watch, waiting for what's going to happen next. But when the whole blow up thing happened with Shelton Benjamin, I just sort of took what he said, and the whole conversation was maybe 30 seconds at the most, but it seemed like it took forever. Paul was behind me, and he was the next guy to meet Shelton, and Shelton jumped his shit because he thought we were friends. The first thing that he said to him was like, "Are you that guy's friend?" And I turned around because I didn't know, I consider Paul a friend now. He's a good dude, but he really only knew me for 20 minutes. There's no way that he wasn't with me in Miami. He probably didn't do anything to help, throw gasoline on the fire or anything like that. That was mainly all my fault. So don't yell at him. But basically, Paul was able to, he got it out. He wasn't really a part of it, that it was all just mainly me, and he was able to get his picture, but Paul took a good brunt of the beating as much as I did, and I'm sure that's something he'll never forget about the whole deal. That was meeting the first block of guys. From there, we went over and got in Roddy Piper's line, whose line was freaking huge. I know a ton of people who just went. There was some people that we met that just went to this thing just to go to Rob Van Dam. They didn't give a shit about the super ticket people. And then there was even more people that were there to meet Piper. Piper's line was so long that I swear to you, people must have met this guy twice just to say they met him again, because everybody met Piper. He was so popular. He was a little drunk, but he made up for it, man. He talked to me about. He did the normal gig where he asked me about my kids, he asked me about my family, asked me about my dad, if he was how he was working. It was do you even know my dad? It was he makes, I don't know if it's just the questions that he's figured out from doing this for so long that can just spark a conversation, and that makes you feel like you love the guy even more. That way next time he has a wrestling convention, you go talk to him again. But I don't know. I even told my dad when I went, I was like, hey, Roddy Piper is glad that you're working, but after that whole thing over, I was in my head, I was I'm not gonna fall for this again. I'm not gonna waste my time with you. And so I said, Piper, I want you to tell me a story. Tell me a good one. I want to know about WrestleMania 19 because I never hear about it. You made the big debut, and it was the perfect time to come back in the match between Vince. And I was about to say Vince and Austin. The match between Vince and Hogan, and nobody saw you coming. Nobody, it wasn't in the dirt sheets that you were going to interfere. You hadn't been in WWE in so long since you were in WCW. You had a big, long, huge gap. It was you weren't really blacklisted, but you weren't really highlighted either. So they never really brought you back for anything. So well, what the hell was that all about? And basically, Vince had it in the works the whole time for a long time in advance. And Piper said he would do it, but the one thing that he wanted was he didn't want anybody to know about it. And he said, I'll tell you right now, I'm going to do it, Vince. But if you tell anybody, if word gets out, if I read it about it in the sheets, if anything comes out, I'm just not going to do it. I'll tell you that day, like, it's not going to happen, and you'll have to figure something else out. So Vince had to keep his mouth shut, make sure only the right people knew about it. And he said that he didn't even get into Seattle until like 2 or 3 hours before the show. He went straight to the arena, didn't really do anything where people would see him, and then the people that did see him were figuring that like he was getting there so late that he wouldn't be doing anything, because, you know, he's just probably just one of the boys going to see the show because it's, you know, the biggest one of the year. And they always want to get those legends in, just to see the show and have that atmosphere backstage. And he said he just put on some black, he called it a raincoat. I want to rewatch it because I don't remember really what it was, but I honestly thought it was more like a trench coat, but maybe it really doesn't even matter. And said, you know, that nobody really paid attention to him at all, because like most of the time when you're watching to see if anybody's coming down the ramp, like a guy just takes off in a full-on sprint down the ramp, and you can tell that a run-in is coming, so like you can hear the crowd react before it. He said he just sort of like, I forget the way he said he just crept down, and I said he just like sort of walk slow like a druid, and he said yeah, exactly. So he just sort of like, he said it took him like a good bit to walk down the ramp because he would just walk slow at a slowly pace until just basically he just was able to just cramp down to the ring, and he got down there so slow that nobody even knew he was down there. He was covered up so nobody even really thought anything, and then bam, he hit the ring, and you know, that was it. I mean, that's one of the coolest moments in wrestling for me. I still react to that when I see it. Anybody who's seen WrestleMania 19 knows what I'm talking about. During this show, when I first got there, Colt Cabana had a whole bunch of people flooding him up. Virgil was next to him. Virgil wanted $35 to sign my encyclopedia and get a picture. I was just honestly just way too much. I'm going to make my own separate Virgil video, but I did get a picture and a autograph with Virgil, but Virgil deserves his own video, especially with how much pub he's getting off of like Deadspin and stuff like that with meeting him. So I'm going to make my own thing because he honestly really does deserve it. Really good stuff. From there, I went to the second group. The second group honestly had the bigger names of people in them. Like I had to meet like Bret Hart, Honky Tonk Man, Terry Funk, and Mickey James was that lineup. For that one, because the three guys all had bum knees, they said that they were going to do the autograph session different. I don't know if maybe they caught on to the old other way. Wasn't that good because they had to make everybody wait out in the hot sun purposely because I thought they were doing that again. I waited until the line was at the very end. I didn't really care about my number. I waited till they called 75 to 100 to get into line, even though I was in the 50s, because I just didn't want to wait outside. That was basically it. But once we crept up and met Bret Hart, I met him. I found these glasses when I was going through trying to get. I was really looking for my Piper figure, and I found these glasses that I bought off of clearance off WWE Shop. They are the Bret Hart glasses that came out in 2010. So I said, yo, you bought them for some reason, so I wore them in the video. Or in the picture. I don't even know if the people who saw the picture can tell what the heck they are, but that's basically what they are. They just say Bret the Hitman Hart right there on the thing. I think if I can remember right, I bought them for like $2 or $3. That was back in the day when really WWE Shop had a clearance. They really had a clearance, and it was just shit to go. I met him. There's the figure. It says Bret the Hitman Hart, signed in silver. Looks really, really nice. Really good. Glad that I was able to actually meet Bret. My buddy Mario, he got the same figure signed. I thought when I laid it down, I heard something moving around in there. Oh, I didn't show the Piper figure. Here's the Piper figure when I met him. It says to Steven, Roddy Piper. It's signed in gold. Yeah. That looks really, really nice. Really cool. I like these bigger figures because they're able to stand up on their own. You don't have to sort of tack them into the wall or anything like that. But when I met Piper, I held up this Hasbro. Really cool shit. When I met Bret, I held up this cool one. Is that really, when I met Bret is sort of a slow, I guess you can say, because of the stroke. When I met Bret, like some people have said when they make videos about meeting Bret that it's hard for him to understand, the person's name when he's signing the autograph. You'll say like, what's your name? And you'll say Doug, and he'll say like Frank. And then like some people say it's a joke. But I honestly think it's something about his brain to comprehend, because when I first got there, I don't know if maybe it's my thing is that I just talked too fast and maybe he wasn't able to comprehend what I was saying. But I had to ask my question 3 times before he even like really noticed what I was doing, that I was talking to him. And so honestly, I had some like real long question that basically had to do with like the him leaving and the screw job and all that. And I realized that it probably wasn't the right time or place to really get an answer like that. So I just threw out a softball question and just asked. I asked him in 2010, what was the point of the whole GM storyline if they were just going to end it, and then you were sort of just going to like disappear and never come back again? And he says that's just the way WWE writing is today. They have an idea today, and then tomorrow they change it. They don't really know where they're going because they have so many people putting ideas in the pot, and everybody wants up the next guy, so they're trying to make something bigger when just a normal slow storyline to get to a bigger place in the end does it. Because when you try to make too many pops in the storyline, that's when things get all fucked up and doesn't make any sense. And he says that he just got put on the outs, and then they just never brought him back. And I said, did you have fun wrestling at SummerSlam in 2010? Because I said that I was able to be there, and I know a lot of people that are glad to say they saw one of your last matches. And my buddy Luke Cage is going to love this. He says that he wishes nobody would ever think of that as one of his last matches. He hasn't liked any of his matches that he's had since he came back. He said he wanted people to remember him for his last matches when he was really in his career. Honky Tonk Man was in a class of his own. He had the full gimmick. He had a duffel bag of things underneath this bag, and mostly what was in there was Heineken. And I honestly got Honky Tonk Man in trouble. But he deserved it. He was busting my balls for wearing a WCW shirt, saying that nobody should buy anything WCW because the money went to Eric Bischoff and he didn't know what he was doing with it. And I think he was still mad he got fired because I threw that line out there. It's like, Bischoff got one thing right, is he fired you. And he says, oh, he wrote about it in his book. He loved firing me. And I said, yeah, that's why I said it, man. I was just busting your balls. But, what the fuck was I saying? Honky Tonk Man. Oh, but basically, like, when I was behind Honky Tonk Man, because you had to go behind him to get the picture and the autograph to make it easier, so they didn't have to stand up or anything like that. He signed, he was signing something, and I looked over, and his cup was on the ground, but it was like, the cup sits on the ground like this, like his cup was magically like this. And I said, hey, Honky, you're about to spill your beer. And he said, no, that's all right. Terry will buy me another one. And I said, no, Honky, like, your cup's about to spill right now. Like, grab it. And right at that time, there was, like, it wasn't the girl that was running the thing, but one of the girls that was working there sort of leaned in on him. And she said, you're going to have to either put your beer away or hide it better. We are in high school. You need to remember that. And I don't even know if he really changed what he was doing, but it was definitely a cool experience to meet Honky Tonk Man. He was wearing his jogging outfit, I guess you can say. If he would have been wearing his jumpsuit that he wore out to the ring that night, I'm sure a lot of more people would have bought and paid for pictures and things like that. Brett was wearing a WrestleMania shirt. I don't know what he could have really done to up his game, but like I saw, he was wearing that jacket when you met him in New York. So I don't know. That's just me. Terry Funk was a good guy to meet. He was sort of hard to talk to because he talked so slow and sort of like it was sort of like I don't know how to say it right, but like his voice went in and out as he talked. I had asked him because I really wanted to buy this DVD to get signed by him. It was the show that's highlighted in the that freaking Beyond the Mat movie where it's him versus Brett, and it's a retirement show that never really worked out, highlighted by Dennis Stamp being the referee. ECW was a part of the show. WWF was a part of the show. A lot of independent guys were there. So it was like a real historic moment that everybody was helping out Terry Funk in his last retirement show. Mick Foley was there and other people like that. I asked him, I know a lot of guys won't sign things that, they're not getting paid for, so, I didn't buy it, but it was something that I'd like to get signed by you someday if I ever meet you again, because it has a real cool picture of you undressing in the locker room, saying, this is my last run. and I'm done, even though he came back, but I wanted to buy it, but I didn't know. And he said that he doesn't make a dime off the show. He wishes he would have worked a better deal, but he let our video shoot the show. They sell it. They make all the money, and he doesn't see anything off it. But he said if I would have brought it, he wouldn't have cared. He just would have signed it. He just appreciated that I was there to be there. But he signed my encyclopedia. His signature takes a real long time. He's real slow, and as I'll show you, like when I show you the autograph, it's sort of like real shaky is a way to say it, because his signature took so long to sign and took so long to talk to people. You got like an hour to spend with Mickie James, who was on the end. So many people just got bored of talking to Mickie James that she had so much time that she was like playing on her phone and things like that. But she was real awesome to talk to. I didn't really have anything that big to talk to her about, so I just asked her what she did when she came to Sacramento, and she said she had a lot of fun, and she said that they honestly wish they came back. And I said, oh, well, we've been hearing that from a lot of people, but I don't know, I didn't want to say I don't believe you, but they tell us a whole lot of things about TNA is supposed to come back, and we haven't heard anything about it yet. And she said, oh man, I hope they go to the same place, and she named the place the Memorial, and she named the bar that was behind it. So I was like, okay, maybe she's not lying, maybe she really does want to go back there and does remember it. But the convention was real fun. As the convention was wrapping up, the guy that I talked to earlier, that I bought the magazines from, he was get rid of his stuff. So he was just passing a lot of stuff out to take, because he didn't want to take it home. So he gave me these magazines for free. It's there's Kevin Nash, Diesel, and Vince McMahon on the cover of Raw. There's Stacy and the Dudleys on the cover of Raw. Ken Shamrock on WWF Magazine. Scott Steiner, WWF Magazine. That one feels really thin for some reason. Here's one bitchin' cool one at the NWO with Nash, Hall, and Hogan. Here is Stone Cold Steve Austin. Batista. Stone Cold and Owen. Psycho Sid. And a Perfect DX. Sean and Austin. Sean and Triple H. He also gave me this limited edition Rock figure. It's one of 10,000. It includes an Attitude Era base from Toy Fair. Looks pretty cheap, but he just wanted to get rid of it, so I took it. Autographs are all marked in here, so it shouldn't take me forever to flip through. But here is Carlito. On this page. Chris Masters, the Masterpiece. I love Masters. I always liked him as a wrestler. People give me shit about that, but good times. D.H. Smith. It's in silver. It's not. There we go. It's just a little better when I put some light on it. The dicks. Honky Tonk Man is in the. Sort of signed it in the binding there, right there. Oh, that was from last time. I just didn't take the card out. Alright, Gap all the way to there. Colt was cool. When I met him, I honestly had to tell him I didn't know what name he was in here. Scotty Goldman. It honestly slipped my mind. And I said, I don't really know anything about Scotty Goldman. Can you just sign at Colt Cabana? Because I know more about you there. And he said, oh, fuck it, I'll just sign both. Here we go. Here's the Terry Funk signature. Terry, it says, to Steven, best luck, Terry Funk. Big V, Virgil. Doesn't get any better than that. I didn't get a Shelton Benjamin picture. I didn't get a Shelton Benjamin autograph. That's just the way it goes. Oh, I forgot. That's the new book. Here's the new book with the white And it is... Hey, quit it. Katie Lee Burchill. And Mickie James. That's a whole lot of scribbling in there, but you can make out Mickie James. You're a winner in my book. That was it. It was a fun time. I honestly can't wait to go. About the show, Shelton Benjamin honestly had the best match. He wrestled this guy named Chemo, who's going for the gut check in TNA. Looks like he's going to make it. Everybody was hyping him up pretty good. Chris Masters and Carlito had what was a good match. I really thought that they should have highlighted the guys that were the local talent, because they're having another show in July, and I think that they gave them a tag match. But I think if they were to let the guys cut promos and make people really care about it, I'm sure that there was a lot of people like me who don't go to the normal shows, who might have cared about the wrestling and known something more about the guys. I knew that one of the guys, Shane Cody or something like that, was the world champ. The guy that was wrestling against him in the tag match, Sin, was pretty cool. He looked like a guy that you would really hate, and the other guy looked like he could cut a good promo because he was yelling at us pretty good during the show. When he was not in the match, but he was on the outside waiting to get in. He was yelling at all the guys like me in the front row. They looked pretty good. The Chemo guy looked really, really good that wrestled Shelton. There was another guy who was an older guy who wrestled the Honky Tonk Man. He was pretty good, all right. So I mean, I would go see this guys that they brought in some other talent to go along with them. But if I knew more about the guys and I really cared about the storylines, I don't know, maybe I would go if I had somebody to go with me. Shelton, when he won his match and he was going around to do this 4-corner pose, he went up to the corner that I was in front of, and he didn't do the corner pose because he saw me there. I don't know. I wasn't gonna take a picture or take his video because he made it pretty obvious that he didn't want me to. And so I didn't put him in there. But everybody that was around me was pretty sure that was why he did it, because he looked right at me before he didn't do the pose, and he went on to the next thing, and everybody sort of said it was my fault. Roddy Piper came out to start the show by cutting a promo, and instead of going back to where the boys were in the locker room, he went right out the ring and right out the front door. He obviously had somewhere to go to. I thought that was one of the best exits that I'd ever seen. Colt worked at his merch table during the whole show, as well as Virgil did. Virgil looked like he was almost taking a nap during the show. I also thought it was funny they had the big WrestleFest deal, but the wrestlers were doing signings during the whole show the whole time, in the back where the merch tables were. So there was no real reason to go to the WrestleFest, I guess, unless you wanted the wrestle ticket. But I mean, if you just wanted to meet one person, everybody was there doing signings during the show, during intermission, before the show, after the show. So I don't know. If you only want to meet one person, more than likely you don't have to go. Katie Lee Burchill versus Mickie James was really, really good. A really good match. I don't think any of this stuff would be great if you bought the DVD, but I mean, it was definitely fun to be there. Bret Hart showed how to be a manager. He came out, never got in the ring, sat down in the front row, checked his Twitter updates, took a picture of D.H. Smith, probably tweeted it out or posted it on Facebook or something. Never did anything with the match, but the best part about it was after the match was over, he sort of went over to greet D.H. Smith when he got in the ring, and about 25 kids pushed Bret out of the way to give D.H. Smith a high five. These kids didn't even know who Bret Hart was. I think that was just about it. It covers everything. I had a ton of fun with Mario. It was really good times. RVD was at the show, but he didn't wrestle at the show. Terry Funk never came out for the show, but it was good. They brought everybody out there. D.H. Smith wrestled a real good match, like I said. So it'll definitely be fun to see what happens next year. Peace out.